I know how this sounds. If I heard someone say this, I'd probably roll my eyes too, but I swear on everything I caught something on camera. And if you think this is just another one of those "I saw something weird in the sky" stories, you're dead wrong. This isn't about lights flickering or some speck moving in the night. This is about real footage of something I was never supposed to capture. And now I might not make it out of this. It started 2 nights ago. I was chilling on my apartment balcony in downtown Chicago, messing around with my phone. I'd just upgraded to the Samsung Ultra 24, and that zoom is insane. You can see details on the freaking moon with that thing. I was scrolling through TikTok, barely paying attention to the world around me, when I noticed this bright object in the sky. At first, I figured it was just a plane. You see those all the time over the city. But something was off. It wasn't moving like a plane or even a drone. It was too smooth, too controlled, like it was hovering, but in a way that didn't make sense. I zoomed in with my phone's camera, and that's when I lost my mind. This thing wasn't just a light in the sky. It was metallic, disc-shaped, with what looked like rotating segments around the edges. It almost looked like something out of a science fiction movie. And when I zoomed in all the way, I swear I saw movement inside it. Something, or someone, was inside. I started recording. At first I thought, holy shit, I'm gonna go viral with this. I mean, imagine dropping real UFO footage on Twitter or Reddit. This wasn't some blurry, pixelated nonsense. This was clear as day. You could see details, patterns on the hull, reflections of the city lights below. Even the way the air seemed distorted around it, like heat waves on asphalt. And then it moved. Not like anything I've ever seen before. It didn't turn or tilt. It shifted, just instantly moved from one spot to another, like it teleported a few feet away. I felt my stomach drop. Planes don't do that. Drones don't do that. Nothing we have moves like that. I kept recording. The thing hovered a few seconds longer, then suddenly shot upward at an impossible speed. Gone, just like that. No sound, no trail, nothing. I sat there, phone shaking in my hands. My first instinct? Post it online. So I did. I uploaded it to Twitter first, adding some dumb caption like, bro, tell me this is a plane and I'll delete my account. Then I put it on Reddit, RUFOS, R high strangeness, even R no sleep for fun. It blew up instantly. People were freaking out, analyzing it frame by frame. Some said it was CGI, others swore it was real. A few even claimed they'd seen something similar the same night. Then someone DM'd me. The message was simple. Take it down. No username, no profile picture, just a blank, untraceable account. I laughed it off at first. Trolls always come out when something goes viral. But then another one came in, and another. Then my Twitter got locked, my Reddit posts disappeared, my YouTube video, gone. At this point I was freaking out. I hadn't deleted anything. How was this happening? I tried reposting, but within minutes everything got wiped again. Then came the emails, real emails, from actual people. One was from some official-looking address, US government inquiry, urgent. I clicked on it, and the first line sent chills through me. Mr. B, my last name, you have uploaded sensitive material. This is not a request. Remove all related content immediately. No signature, no agency, just that. At this point, I was panicking. Who the hell was watching me? I went back to my TikTok. Comments were disabled. I couldn't even reply to anyone. Then my phone buzzed, unknown number. I picked up, heart pounding. A deep, emotionless voice spoke. You need to stop. I froze. Who is this? I demanded. Silence. Then, if you do not comply, you and your family will suffer consequences. This is your only warning. And then, click. I sat there, gripping my phone so hard my hands hurt. I looked around my apartment. Suddenly every shadow, every car parked outside, every silhouette in a nearby window felt like it was watching me. I locked every door, every window, but deep down I knew it was already too late. The next morning, I woke up to something even worse. My laptop screen was on, even though I remembered closing it before I slept. The webcam light on, and there was a new file on my desktop. No name, just an icon. I hesitated, then clicked it. A video opened, and I was in it. It was surveillance footage of me, sleeping in my bed. But that wasn't the worst part. At the very end of the video I saw it, a figure, standing in the corner of my room, watching me. And then, just before the video cut to black, it moved.
I don't remember falling asleep that night. I don't even remember getting into bed. I just remember sitting there, staring at my laptop screen, watching that horrifying footage over and over again. That thing in my room, it was real. I should have left, should have run to a friend's place, a hotel, anywhere. But I didn't. Instead, I just sat there, convincing myself it was some kind of sick prank. Maybe I'd been hacked. Maybe someone was messing with me. Maybe, bang, 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 someone was at my door. It was almost 3 a.m. No one knocks on your door at 3 a.m. unless it's bad news. My stomach turned as I stared at the peephole, debating whether to check. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I answered, my voice barely above a whisper. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. The same deep, emotionless voice from the call before. Open the door. I hung up. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my phone. The knocks came again, louder this time. My mind was screaming at me to run, to hide, to do something. But before I could react, my front door unlocked. I heard it. The deadbolt sliding open, the handle twisting. They had my key. I bolted toward the back of my apartment, toward the fire escape. But before I even made it to the window, they were inside. I don't remember much after that. Just flashes, a hooded figure, a mask, a hand grabbing my arm, a sharp pain in my neck, then blackness. I woke up somewhere else. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Sterile, like disinfectant, but off. Like something rotten was hidden underneath. The second thing I noticed was the restraints. I was strapped to a chair, my wrists, my ankles, tight leather straps digging into my skin. The room was small, windowless, white walls, a single fluorescent light buzzing above me. It looked like one of those interrogation rooms in a cheap crime show. Then the door opened. 2 men walked in. Black suits, no badges. Just cold, expressionless faces. One of them sat across from me while the other stood by the door. "We're giving you one last chance," the seated man said. His voice was calm, almost casual, like this was just a business meeting. "Say it was fake. Say you made it up." I swallowed hard. "Made what up?" The man exhaled through his nose like he was disappointed. He reached into his pocket and pulled out my phone. He slid it across the table. "Say it," he repeated. I hesitated. My head was pounding. My body felt sluggish, like I'd been drugged. I don't understand," I stammered. The other man, the one by the door, took a step forward. That's when I noticed something in his hand. A needle. My breath hitched. Wait. The seated man leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Do you know how many people go missing every year?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. He tapped his fingers on the table, almost rhythmically. "We can make you disappear too. No name, no trace, just gone." I could feel my pulse in my throat. "Please," I croaked. "I won't say anything." The man nodded slowly, like he believed me, like this was over. Then he said something that sent ice through my veins. "We know." And that's when I realized this wasn't about shutting me up. It wasn't about the video. They weren't here to warn me. They were here because I'd seen too much. They weren't letting me go. I don't know how long I was in that room. Hours, days. Time didn't feel real anymore. I wasn't given food, only enough water to keep me conscious. The light above never turned off. I didn't sleep. They never asked me anything else, never spoke to me again. They just left me there, waiting. Then, at some point, the door opened again. A new man walked in. He was different. No suit, just a dark hoodie, jeans, and a baseball cap. YouTube guy vibes. He sat across from me, clasping his hands together. Do you know what you filmed? I swallowed. UFO? He smiled, but it wasn't friendly, more like pity. Yeah, he said. But not the kind you think. I frowned. What does that mean? The man leaned in. That thing you recorded? It wasn't theirs. A chill ran down my spine. They weren't watching you because you saw a UFO, he said. They were watching you because you caught something else on camera. I stared at him. I don't understand. He pulled out a tablet and tapped the screen. A video started playing, my video, the same footage I'd uploaded online, but this time it was slowed down. And that's when I saw it. I don't know how I hadn't noticed before, maybe because it happened in just a split second. But as the craft moved, something dropped from it. Something human-shaped. The man looked at me, his face grim. You didn't just record a UFO, you recorded someone escaping from it. My body went cold. My mouth was dry. Who? I whispered. The man's face darkened. We don't know.
The room felt smaller, the air thicker. My hands were still strapped to the chair, but I wasn't thinking about that anymore. My mind was locked on the screen, on the slow-motion footage, on that thing or person that had fallen from the UFO. You're lying, I blurted. My voice was hoarse, my throat dry. The man across from me tilted his head. Am I? I couldn't answer, because deep down I knew I had missed something in that footage. I had been too focused on the craft itself, on how it moved, how unnatural it was. I hadn't seen what had fallen. I watched as the slowed-down footage looped. The figure dropped from the ship like dead weight, like it had been thrown out. But as it fell, something even worse happened. It moved, not in a natural way, not like someone skydiving, flailing for control. It twitched, jerky, unnatural, like a marionette being yanked by invisible strings. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. What is that? I whispered. The man across from me sighed, rubbing his temples like this was exhausting for him. That's the million-dollar question. I licked my lips. So what, you guys work for the government or something? Men in Black? FBI? He chuckled at that. If only it were that simple. He tapped the screen of his tablet, pausing the video. We're not the ones you should be worried about. I frowned. Then who is? His expression darkened. He stood up, stuffing the tablet into his bag. The people who brought you here, they're just cleaners, hired hands. The real ones, the ones who actually know what the hell this thing is, they're coming. My stomach clenched. Coming for what? The man looked at me. For you. The way he said it sent a cold shiver up my spine. Then, without warning, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small knife. My entire body tensed, but he didn't lunge at me. He cut the restraints. The straps around my wrists and ankles snapped loose. I immediately rubbed my sore wrists, barely believing what was happening. You need to go now, he said. I blinked at him, still frozen. Wait, what? You're just letting me go? He sighed. Not really. I'm giving you a chance. There's a difference. I was still trying to process it when he yanked open the door. That's when I heard it. Footsteps, a lot of them. Heavy boots, fast, coming down the hall. The man swore under his breath. He grabbed my arm and yanked me out of the room. Move! I stumbled forward, still half dazed, but my survival instinct kicked in. I ran. Hallway was long and sterile, lined with identical doors. I had no idea where I was. No windows, no signs, just bright fluorescent lights buzzing above me. Behind us, voices shouted. Angry voices. I didn't look back. The man shoved me forward, guiding me down a side corridor, an emergency exit. He slammed his fist against the door's crash bar, and the moment it opened, a blaring alarm went off. I flinched. "Are you insane? That just told them exactly where we are." "They already know," he muttered. We sprinted into a dimly lit parking garage. The moment we burst through the door, I saw it, a black SUV running, door already open. "Get in," he ordered. I hesitated for half a second. I still didn't know if I could trust this guy. But the shouting behind us made the decision for me. I dove into the passenger seat. The man jumped into the driver's seat and floored it. Tires screeched. The SUV tore through the garage, whipping around concrete pillars at breakneck speed. In the rearview mirror, I saw men in black tactical gear pouring out of the emergency exit. One of them raised a gun. I ducked. Shit! The back window exploded. Glass sprayed across the interior. The man didn't flinch. He just gunned it harder. We hit a ramp and blasted out onto the street, tires screeching against the pavement. I twisted in my seat. The men had reached the garage exit, piling into their own vehicles. "They're following us," I breathed. The man just muttered, "No shit." I turned back around, clutching my seatbelt. I didn't even know where we were, some kind of industrial district, warehouses and abandoned lots stretching in every direction. No civilians, no police, no one to help us. Then the man made a sharp left, slamming me against the door. The SUV roared down a narrow alleyway, tires skidding. I looked back. The black cars followed us in. My heart pounded. "There's nowhere to go!" I shouted. The alley dead-ended. A massive chain-link fence blocked the exit. The man didn't slow down. "You're crazy!" I screamed. Then I saw it, a small maintenance tunnel off to the right, narrow, barely big enough for a pedestrian. At the last second, the man hit the brakes. The SUV skidded sideways, screeching to a stop.
"Out!" he ordered. I didn't argue. We threw ourselves out of the SUV and sprinted toward the tunnel. Behind us, the pursuing cars slammed to a stop. Doors flew open. I could hear them, dozens of footsteps pounding after us. We reached the tunnel. It was dark, damp, filled with the stench of mildew and rotting garbage. The walls were so close that my shoulders scraped against the concrete as I ran. Somewhere behind us, a voice shouted, "Don't let them get away!" The tunnel twisted sharply. We turned a corner, then another. I was completely lost, but the man seemed to know exactly where he was going. Finally, we burst out onto a deserted street. An empty subway station entrance loomed ahead. "In there!" the man ordered. We sprinted down the stairs, leaping two at a time. The platform was empty. No trains, no people, just silence. I bent over, hands on my knees, gasping for air. I turned to the man. What the hell was that? He was still scanning the entrance, checking for pursuers. After a few seconds, he seemed satisfied. He exhaled, turning back to me. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "That thing that fell from the UFO?" I swallowed. "Yeah?" He met my eyes. "It's looking for you." I don't remember how long I stood there, trying to make sense of what the man had just said. "It's looking for you." The subway platform was dead silent, just the occasional flicker of the overhead lights. No trains, no people, just us. I finally managed to choke out, "What do you mean? It's looking for me." The man, who still hadn't told me his name, ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. I don't know how else to say this, but whatever fell from that UFO, it saw you. And it's not just some random escapee. I felt my stomach drop. "What the hell is it then?" The man hesitated, like he didn't want to say it. Like he knew the moment the words left his mouth, I'd never sleep again. Finally, he muttered, "Not human." I let out a nervous laugh, but it died the second I saw the look on his face. He was dead serious. He pulled something from his pocket, his tablet. He tapped the screen, bringing up another slowed-down version of my UFO footage. But this one wasn't focused on the object itself. This one zoomed in on what fell from it.
I swallowed hard, stepping closer. The footage was blurry, grainy, but it was clear enough. I could see its shape now. Long, too long, limbs bending at unnatural angles. It had arms, but they were thin, wiry, too many joints. The legs, wrong, like it had started as human but had been stretched, warped into something else. Then the video slowed even more. My entire body went cold, because as it fell, it twisted its head and looked directly at me. The eyes were too big, not black, not alien-like, but reflective, like an animal caught in headlights. The mouth, Jesus, the mouth, was a thin slit, stretching too far across its face. No lips, just a dark opening. I took a shaky step back. That's not real. The man exhaled. Oh, it's real, and now it knows who saw it. It knows you have the footage. I shook my head. No, that's impossible. I uploaded it publicly. 1 million people have seen it. The man gave me a look. No, they haven't. The government wiped it. Anyone who saw it, they probably think it was just another deleted hoax. I wanted to argue, wanted to call him crazy, but deep down, I knew he was right. I had the only real copy left. I turned, looking at the dark subway tunnel stretching into the distance. A gut-wrenching realization hit me. As if it's looking for me, I said slowly, my voice hollow. Then where is it now? The man didn't answer. But then somewhere deep in the tunnel there was a sound, a distant, wet, scraping noise. I felt my chest tighten. That's not a train. The man was already moving. We need to go now! We ran. I don't think I've ever sprinted that fast in my life. We didn't go back up the stairs, that would be too obvious. Instead, we ran along the tracks deeper into the tunnel. The scraping noise followed us. I didn't dare look back. We rounded a corner, nearly slipping on the damp concrete. There was another platform ahead, an abandoned one, covered in graffiti and dust. The man leapt onto it, helping me scramble up. And then the noise stopped. We stood there, panting, eyes locked on the tunnel behind us, dark, silent. But I knew we weren't alone. The man pulled something from his jacket, a small metal cylinder. He twisted the top. A bright red flare ignited, illuminating the entire platform in a crimson glow. I finally turned to look at the tunnel, and I wish I hadn't. It was there, at the edge of the light, just barely visible. It stood on 2 legs, but they were wrong, bent backward like a deer's. Its arms hung at its sides, too long, fingers scraping against the ground, and its head, Jesus Christ, its head was tilting, twitching, like it was trying to understand what it was looking at, like it wasn't just seeing us, but learning us. The man threw the flare. It landed in front of the creature, and that's when it moved, so fast. It lunged, covering the distance in seconds. We bolted. The platform had an old, rusted emergency exit. The man shoved me toward it, yanking open the door. Behind us, I heard it scrambling after us. Its footsteps weren't normal. They were erratic, too many limbs hitting the ground at once. We ran up a flight of stairs. The man slammed into the exit door with his shoulder, bursting out into the open air. We were on a rooftop. I barely had time to react before he grabbed me, pulling me toward the edge. We have to jump. I froze. What? But then I heard it. The metal door behind us groaned as something shoved against it. Then it burst open. The man didn't give me time to think. He pushed me. I fell. For a split second, I thought I was dead. But then I hit something soft. Another rooftop. A few feet lower. A rough landing, but I was alive. The man landed beside me, rolling to break the impact. He grabbed my arm and pulled me up. Move! I didn't argue. We ran across the rooftops, hopping from one building to another. I chanced one last look behind me. The thing was standing on the edge of the first rooftop, watching us, not chasing anymore, just watching. The man cursed under his breath. "It's not giving up." I turned to him, breathing hard. "What do we do?" He hesitated. Then he pulled out a small device from his pocket. It looked like a burner phone. He pressed a button. A few seconds later, his phone rang. He answered immediately. It found us. A pause. Then he nodded. Understood. He hung up, turning back to me. "There's one last place we can go." I swallowed. "Where?" The man exhaled. "Where it came from." I don't know why I followed him. Maybe because I had no other choice. Maybe because I was already too deep into this nightmare to stop. But mostly because whatever was hunting me, it wasn't human. And if this guy had even the slightest idea how to stop it, I had to trust him. So I ran. We climbed down an emergency fire escape, dropping into a deserted back alley. The streets were eerily silent, just the distant hum of city traffic blocks away. No sirens, no people. Like the world had gone quiet just for us. The man wasn't wasting time. He grabbed my arm, yanked me toward a rusted black sedan parked under a busted streetlight. I hesitated. "This yours?" "No," he muttered. "Get in." I didn't argue. We sped off. The entire drive, I kept checking the rearview mirror, expecting to see it sprinting after us. But there was nothing. Just empty roads and flickering streetlights. I finally worked up the nerve to ask, "Where the hell are we going?"